Tyrese Haliburton has recorded 75 assists and 7 turnovers in his last 6 games. Yes, you heard that right. For every 1 turnover, he's assisting on nearly 11 shots. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Since January 1st, he's played in 25 games, and he's averaged about 20 points, 9 assists, and 1.5 turnovers on 67% true shooting, while the Pacers have had the 3rd best record in the NBA, going 19-6. It looks like Haliburton's all the way back to that in-season tournament form from last season, and this version of him is one of the most uniquely valuable offensive engines this league has to offer. Probably the biggest difference between Tyrese and other all-star level guards is his ability to push the pace. The Pacers have been one of, if not the fastest team in the NBA over the past 2 seasons, and that starts with his skill set. Anytime he has the ball in the backcourt, he's constantly hunting for opportunities to kick it ahead to running teammates. So anytime he picks up a steal or grabs a rebound, he'll immediately start the push with his head up, and usually someone's down the court ready to take advantage. Even when someone else gets a rebound though, they know to immediately look for Tyrese to get him the ball and let him look for those quick outlets, and sometimes there doesn't need to be a rebound at all because he's also looking to play in transition after made baskets, as is everyone else on the team. I think it's hilarious how when you watch a Pacers game, you're pretty much guaranteed to see 2 or 3 shots where you have no idea what the origin was. The camera is so focused on showing us who's on the court or who just made the basket that when it cuts back to the game, they're already in a position to score, and you can assume it was a result of a Haliburton outlet. In the event that he gets the ball and looks to run in transition, but there's nobody to kick it ahead to, that's when you'll see him push it down court himself, and he's such a good passer in these spots that some defenses will seemingly forget that he's still a threat to score. In my opinion, the ability to speed up the offense consistently and efficiently is the single most underrated skill a player can have. The league's average half-court offense this season is scoring a little bit under 0.98 points per play, and the best half-court offense in the NBA belongs to the Cavs, who are scoring 1.07 points per play. On the other hand, the league's average transition offense is scoring about 1.24 points per play. And I throw those numbers at you to say, you can be one of the worst transition offenses in the NBA from an efficiency standpoint and still be producing better results than the very best half-court offense. Haliburton not only creates those opportunities for his team more than any other player in the league, he does so while maximizing efficiency, which gives the Pacers offense such a great baseline to work off of. With that said, I don't think it's just his ability to push pace that gets underrated. I also think because he plays in transition so much, what he's capable of doing in the half court sort of gets overshadowed. Most of Indiana's half court possessions start with a high ball screen, and he's one of those guys who can really attack any coverage. That was on full display in his most recent game against the Rockets, where he torched every single look they sent his way. Houston opened the game playing drop coverage, and Haliburton responded by turning the corner and attacking the backpedaling big with a 2-on-1 advantage. If Şengün dropped back but prioritized the roll over the ball, Tyrese would use that space to drive and get to a high percentage shot. If Şengün dropped back to play the ball but didn't jump all the way out, Tyrese would use that space to hunt for an off-the-dribble jumper. The Rockets actually fell back into a 2-3 zone to prevent Şengün from being attacked in space, but nobody picked up the ball, so Haliburton just walked into a pull-up 3. Then about a minute later, they set it up again. He again looks for the pull-up 3, only to fire a bullet to a cutting Siakam. So in the second half, the Rockets adjusted again. Instead of a drop or a zone, they brought Şengün up to the level of the screen and a hedge, to which Haliburton responded by finding the open man every time. Just look at this play. Şengün jumps out to the ball more than 30 feet out, and Haliburton stares down Nesmith up top to send Jabari Smith on a closeout, only to throw a beautiful dime to a rolling Miles Turner. The Pacers ended up winning this game by 13, and Haliburton finished with an impressive 28 points and 15 assists, while only turning the ball over twice. Haliburton doesn't have the traditional slow-paced scoring game that you'll find with a guy like Cade Cunningham, but he's still dangerous enough as a scorer that he's able to really pressure defenses off of screens. That scoring game starts with the fact that he's one of the best off-the-dribble three-point shooters in the league. On the season, he's attempting almost 6 pull-up threes a game and hitting 37% of them. The only two players who exceed both of those marks are Steph Curry and Anthony Edwards. And he can get into these shots in a variety of ways, so anytime he comes off a screen and is left with any sort of room, he's a threat to pull the trigger. He's got this really unorthodox but quick release that allows him to get the ball up off the floor in really tight windows, and he's comfortable doing so from multiple feet behind the arc. So not only is it dangerous to play the pick and roll in a deep drop coverage, going under screens is basically like gift wrapping him an opportunity to take the three. Then he can use the threat of that jumper to create cleaner driving lanes. You'll commonly see him use hesitations to bait slower-footed bigs into jumping out with nobody else to step in front of him. The pull-up three is probably his most dangerous weapon as a scorer, but when playing in a drop, defenses also have to worry about him turning the corner and getting to a floater. And this is especially dangerous due to the fact that Indiana screeners are threats to pop. So if a big commits to the drive, he'll kick it right back out for a high quality look from up top. There isn't a pass he can't make. If the big picks him up in a drop but the screener is rolling, he's comfortable making that tough shovel pass to create a short roll opportunity. If he's going towards the middle and help slides down from the opposite wing, he'll kick it to the open shooter for a warm-up jumper from outside. And finally, if the big sits way back to defend the roll with no extra help, he'll put his defender in jail and use that space to get to a floater. Because he's both a threat to step into jumpers and get downhill, some teams will try to avoid this altogether by putting two on the ball. But that presents its own set of issues. Not only is he typically very quick to get off the ball and create an advantage, he's incredible at taking wide driving angles to pull the big with him, which then creates 2-on-1 situations for him to take advantage of through his wizardry as a passer. Maybe the most dangerous part about bringing a big up to the level of the screen, though, is that they're no longer in a position to protect the paint if Haliburton decides to reject it. He's arguably the best in the business when it comes to rejecting screens, and then defenses are presented with the same issues as he gets downhill and creates an advantage. I really want to hammer home the point of how helpless defenses can be in these spots though. Like I said, if he drives and the big picks him up, he's looking to hit the pop. But on this one, he recognizes that the wing defender is cheating over, so he throws a no-look skip pass perfectly on target for a Ben Shepherd 3. If he rejects a screen and runs into help at the nail, not only can he kick it to the shooter, he can fake that pass and look off the help to create an opening in the paint. And of course, if his defender tries to prepare for the screen being rejected by sitting back, he'll step into one of those automatic jumpers. As a result of this unique skill set, Haliburton has been the single most efficient pick and roll ball handler in the NBA this season. He's currently averaging over 16 pick and rolls per game, enough to land him in the top 10. And on those plays, the Pacers are generating 1.16 points per possession, which is by far the highest mark of any player who's running at least 5 of them. For that reason, some defenses try to avoid all of these potential advantages by just switching the action, which again presents some new issues. If they know the defense is looking to soft switch, the screener is just gonna slip, and Haliburton will find him pretty much every time. And if a switch is executed properly without giving up a slip, now Haliburton's in a position to attack a favorable matchup one-on-one. Don't get me wrong, he's not this devastating isolation presence. He is a skilled enough scorer to consistently attack mismatches though. He isn't super explosive, but he does have a decent change of pace, so he usually doesn't have much trouble getting around slower footed defenders. And remember, it isn't even the drive that's most dangerous, it's the ability to create off the dribble threes in so many different ways. When you pair those isolations with everything he does in the pick and roll, and everything he does in transition, we're talking about one of the most valuable on-ball players in the league. But another underrated aspect of Haliburton's game that separates him from some other guards is his ability to also play away from the ball. He's one of the quickest off-the-catch decision makers I've ever seen, and that means the defense can literally never settle as long as he's on the court. A lot of guys rely on long closeouts or tilted defenses to create driving lanes off the catch, but he's looking to drive as soon as he touches the ball, regardless of where he's at on the court. In addition to the slashing, he's also really quick to make the extra pass in these situations, so he's an awesome connector, and when you have a guy like that leading the way, you can implement a style of offense that's very Boston-esque with multiple guys attacking off the catch. That style of offense also requires good shooting, which again brings me back to Haliburton being a premier outside threat. It isn't just off the dribble. In the past 2 seasons, he's attempted over 250 catch and shoot threes, and he's made a very impressive 43% of them. He's such a good shooter, in fact, that Indiana even occasionally runs him off of screens with the sole intention of freeing him up for a jumper. He may not be averaging 25 points. He may not be producing the most exciting highlight reels, but what he is doing is producing some of the most efficient team offense and playing that point guard role to near perfection. His blend of on and off ball brilliance gets the best out of every member of that roster, and because he quite literally never turns the ball over, they're basically guaranteed to get a shot off on possessions that start in his hands. And that's been the fuel behind them being one of the best teams in the NBA since the turn of the new year. Since then, they've had a remarkable offensive rating of 123.9 with Haliburton on the floor. The Pacers are rolling, he's leading the charge, and as we near the end of the season, he's proving that he's still one of the game's premier offensive players. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn my post notifications on to be first on more content. If you're interested in my more in-depth research, make sure to check out the Hoop Venue podcast and my social media profiles. You can find those links in the description. Feel free to let me know down in the comments what you think of Haliburton. As always, I hope you all have a great day, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.